Oh, okay.
Also, on my mining expo be Nanzania over the weekend, and I said, no, Casa, no Casa, so one of hint here.
Okay. And once I'm no, or Modiba to Java. Okay. So, informer the Bocata and so Cassim be no just a gunman penny not to Danko Kufad. I say, Memma, ye blame me or more politicians, no qua for Ketati separate, can't Medinka can was him, and was him House of Chiefs and so, or Macassa. Tiasa gay activities no air cost no and once and so I was the informer the Obokata and him Just Point Group and a Ghana Bana a commission medical waste treatment plant. Kumasi ha. Oh, just
various health institutions now. Waste, you know. And now on the Bay and Wajuma. Once I first man for boss was a hospital to be walk around now, Munsu, Amodi, and Yamani Gana fire main gutters, and medical equipment, not as a penny, and your wapani, we are yet to go in a call. And what was that? You will be penny, we normally to her. Sapaniano, Ebia, Omoko, Tiataco operation, we are, and the man of the operations, no, send over disposing. And when I do medical treatment about a bit me a treatise and the money in our mind.
The Anchor newspaper no pay was it. Any papa womo eko Ghana mining expo ni de na kan wase mi wansem no e wa ha na atebubu MC ma me nchire mu yiye atebubu MC ni eso office na office na wo ye meeting wo ne coordinating directors na executives omu ye meeting na party executives ebowura na office wo 1.7 FM ebro mu bowura ho no ana omo chese omo pese omo no omo MC edin komo into penikese no ebeya meeting no ntwa so enti meeting na MC ne coordinating directors ne mpanifo ye no keke e wo so wo mu jai na MC ene ne party mpanifo koshia na wo yi mpanifo ne free ho na e ka party mpanifo ene MC wo ne office no omo troop no ni afa di adai a e kwan so party executive e kwan so MC e be yi wa pie ana say mu be yi ma pie sesei eti akwa ne de mempere yeso on beti an so watiem help say wo mu brim no
Oma to the mu office wo brim no
Oma to the mu office so eti brim mo be
it's unfortunate but
Oma brim no brim mo brim atebubu MC no omunya Christopher brim na me say yes say every day brother na nya de ketwa da one step na ba beto jai na do pay e wo de Obokata de bu keke
so moment bi anka no aye me boa
omo de nya so mo mpena asem omo so mo mpeno
mate
omo ni ni ko mo free chairman no
mami ni komo we mra na ye nto aso na cannabis asema ye ka cannabis sativa na asema na ye ka no na ye nkoso eni eho enkomo right them say was via human so to aso na nsaka na me ni nkomo me ni na kwakwa agima be di nkomo ye CEO ma ye Hempa Agri Ghana Limited na ye ni nkomo fa industrialization of sa ye cannabis sativa no eho ni anti THC level no ewo efom no na ye di nkomo e de aba okay, what to aso oh yeah you saw the
reporter about to jano no unfortunately say nya mianim ni we brim ne papa me brim no na nsenchofo ne ni kodi nkomo busia MC say MC e ba ne say dey ne see ye enti bibia ti say e manum no so was say every day one mampani boni din
right so mo mama na mensa hwese mensa beka na nakwaku agima na yeni enkomo na nakwaku agima if you can hear me good morning.
Good morning sir.
And how are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for your time this morning. And we're talking about the cultivation of cannabis sativa. 97.7. We know Parliament passed the bill last week. And I think a lot of experts, and I know a lot of experts are talking about it, and we need to have a very good discussion or discourse on it as a nation moving forward. Because this is the first time we are legalizing something like this in this country. We just want to minimize whatever negative effect it will have on this economy moving forward. I know you've done a lot of research on this one. I've seen your writings and articles on these ones. I think it's a good call. But what we want to know, if you can take us through the value chain of this cannabis sativa, if it is really legalized, and the Narcotic Commission, if they want to implement guidelines to guide people, how are they supposed to go about it, and what will be the value chain?
Yeah, okay, well, you're asking three questions there. Thank you very much. Let me take them one at a time. You remind me of the second one when I finish with the first.
Okay.
But as an introduction, I think it's important that we understand entirely what it is we're talking about, because there are many reports that talk about we. You know, we has been legalized, we as this, we as that, we as the other. And the fact of the matter is that we are not talking about we. We're talking about a completely different plant. It's like a sister plant or a cousin plant to the weed. It comes under the same scientific name, cannabis sativa. Now, the weed that we're talking about, or that we know about, is the one that we're growing illegally here in Ghana and moving about and doing whatever we do. We know by and large most people smoke it. In fact, Ghana is ranked number the third on the continent behind Nigeria and South Africa for cultivation and consumption of weed. Now, that weed comes with a high THC, tetrahydrocannabidiol, and that compound, THC, is the compound that is responsible for getting the person high when they smoke it. You can also get high if you cook with it, or make toffees or sweets, or drink it as tea. It will also have a psychoactive effect. Now, that THC level can be up to 25%, and that tree is different to the industrial hemp tree, because that tree only grows to about 7 feet tall, but it is very wide and it has lots of buds. And the buds is what is picked off, dried, and then consumed. Now, Parliament isn't talking about that one, and I want everyone to be clear. Parliament is not talking about that. That is not what has been legalized. What has been legalized is a cannabis plant that grows up to 16 feet tall. It is very thin, but it has a thick stalk. Now, the THC level in that tree is 0.3. So you can see there's a huge difference from 0.3 to up to 25 in the other plant. Now, that plant can be used for industry and can be used for medicinal purposes as well, but by and large, not recreational purposes. So really, no one is going to smoke that plant. This is what I want to make absolutely clear. No one is going to smoke industrial hemp.
Right.
It is not for recreational use. But this is the plant that the Ghana Parliament has legalized. This one.
Okay.
And not the other one.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. So give me your first question.
The second question, which industries will need this plant?
Every industry, because everything plastic can be made out of this plant. Absolutely everything plastic can be made out of this plant. In fact, this plant even makes the panels for cars and aeroplanes. So the industry, in terms of who will need it, every industry will need it. So first and foremost, everything that is plastic is made out of this plant. Then you have hempcrete, which is another version of concrete. And the blocks we make to build our houses, this industrial hemp can make hempcrete, and it can build low-cost, affordable houses. And the beauty of these houses is that it also sequestrates carbon dioxide as a block, because this is very important for the environment. You know, it's environmentally friendly. Then you can also produce hemp wood, which is 20% stronger than the wood that we use right now, and we made it from trees. You see, we can also produce charcoal, and this is very important, the charcoal, because at the moment we need to stop deforestation. We need somehow to prevent that from taking place, and this is one of the ways, because we know in the rural areas they depend mainly on charcoal. You can grow a field of industrial hemp and turn it into charcoal. It's much more efficient, it's much more effective, there's less carbon emissions, it's also environmentally friendly. Then you can also use the seeds. These are where pharmaceuticals come involved. You can use the seeds to extract the oil from it, and the oil is called CBD. Now that CBD oil is good for insomnia, it's good for high blood pressure, it's good for hypertension, it has anti-inflammatory properties, it is good for PSTD, it is good for AHD, and a whole host, epilepsy, autism, a whole host of ailments. The CBD oil can deal with. And it's been proven scientifically to reduce and stop seizures in people who have epilepsy. The seeds too can be consumed. They are known to be a superfood. That is what they are called. They are a superfood because they have omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, which is very, very good for the body. In fact, in our bodies, we have an endocannabinoid system. We have receptors that are there waiting for us to receive cannabis in our bodies. And when we receive it, we have the receptor 1, the CB receptor 1, which goes to the brain and the nervous system. And then you have the CB receptor 2, which goes to the main organs in the body. So we actually have receptors. Our body is made to receive cannabis. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Nana,
so you see,
Nana, has any research proven that our soil in Ghana can sustain the sativa, can be sativa than the other one with the high THC level?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I mean, let me demonstrate it this way.
Okay.
We have lots of lands, even up in the Ashanti region, that right now has been intoxicated with poisons, mercury and all the like. Now, when you cultivate industrial hemp on those lands, that the industrial hemp will absorb all the toxins out of the soil so that we can reclaim that soil and once again go and use it for high value crops. It's the same with the water bodies. We have a lot of our water bodies that are poison. We can't use it for anything. Industrial hemp can cure all these problems we face. And then when you harvest the hemp, you can still use it to make hempcrete, hemp wood, hemp plastic, hemp textiles, and a wide variety of other hemp products. So it's a win-win situation. So I want you to understand that the roots of the hemp can even go down beyond a meter, 2 meters. All it does is replenish the earth. It takes nothing away from the soil at all. It strictly replenishes the earth. So our soil, there is no problem in cultivating industrial hemp in it at all.
I see.
Because it's a soil rejuvenator. Wherever you plant it, it's going to grow.
Right. I think a lot of people understands that we need to make something out of this industrial hemp economically and maybe in medicinal terms. The questions a lot of people are asking is, do we have the structure to prevent abuse in the sense that people might not grow the one with the high level THC in place of this ones?
97. Well, you see, it's interesting, the question about abuse. It's not possible. Let me tell you this, that if you are growing recreational cannabis and I am growing industrial hemp and you are within a 50-mile radius of where I am cultivating, the pollen from my industrial hemp will move 50 miles, a radius of 50 miles, and cross-pollinate your recreational cannabis. And therefore render it useless and spoil it.
Okay.
Yeah, so some people have been saying, oh, they will grow the recreational cannabis in the middle of the industrial hemp. Trust me, it will never work.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting.
It will never work. You cannot do it like that. That recreational cannabis, if farmers are still going to be growing it, they've got to be wary if industrial hemp is being cultivated within 50 miles, because if it is, they're going to be spoiled. They will have to go indoors, I'm telling you.
I see.
They will have to go indoors, yes.
Wow. Then how available is the seeds if you have the seeds in this part of our world?
97.7.
No, well, we don't have industrial hemp seeds here, that's a fact, because we don't grow it. So basically, we will, in the first instance, we will have to import it. And the seeds will be certified insofar as there must be a certificate that says that this seed is 0.3 THC or less. That is the only way. So the seeds will come, but they will be certified so that you know that the crop you're growing is the crop that has been legalized. And in fact, when we get the seeds, we will give a sample of the seeds to the Narcotics Control Commission for them to test in the laboratory to ensure that those seeds meet the requirements of the law. It's very important. But you see, in terms of managing the whole thing, I think it boils down to the Narcotics Control Commission. And I think that they should work with the stakeholders in terms of managing, because let's say they give you a license in New Edibiasi, and you've got 50 acres and you're growing there. They will go to the site. They will go to the site without notice and take samples of what is being cultivated, and they can even test. They should have the ability to test portably as well. Now, once you are growing something that doesn't meet the requirements of the law, then it will have to be destroyed.
Okay, so we have to import the seeds actually.
7.7.
Yeah, you have to, because you don't have hemp here. You only have marijuana. We don't grow hemp. We grow marijuana. That's what we're known for. That's why we're ranked third on the continent. So we will import the seeds in the beginning. But then you see, you can grow for cultivar, which means to grow to produce seed only. So we have a section who is just, their focus is just that. They will grow the plants in order to accumulate seeds, so that we don't have to depend on the West anymore. I would advise all farmers that they've got to do that anyway, because we can't be going back and forth buying seeds, and you can grow for seeds to be there.
I see.
So, but NARCOP will have to manage everything. They will have to manage everything.
Okay, Nana, but do you think this should be done in a greenhouse style?
97.7.
No, it's not for greenhouse. It's not. I'm saying that where you will use greenhouse is if you're cultivating marijuana, because you've got to protect it now, because you've got the male plant out there, and if you don't take time, the male plant will cross-pollinate the female plant, which is the recreational cannabis. So you don't need greenhouse for this. We are blessed with the ultimate of climates. God has blessed us.
I see.
And this be our problem, you know. God give us too much blessing. We don't even know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing.
Nana, I know globally it's about $100 billion market. Do you have any idea on the average how much we can make annually as a country out of the industrial hemp?
Well, it's all about taxation, isn't it? Because basically government will apply a certain level of tax, and that will be applied vis-a-vis the amount of farmers and the quantities they produce. But essentially, it's millions of dollars, millions of dollars. Make no mistake about it.
Oh, okay.
You know, we should be able to generate in the first instance easily 100 million per annum. That's a very conservative figure I'm giving you.
I see. So you are happy about the legislation, right?
Well, I'm happy for Ghanaians. That's the reason why I'm happy. Because look, let's face it. Government goes to the universities and they say to those people who are going to graduate, we can't do anything for you. There's no jobs. Go and find something to do when you graduate. Yeah? Then look at the management of the goals. We boast that we are second in terms of exporting on what we're producing. But we don't get a percentage of anything. We don't own anything. Look at the bauxite. We've now discovered lithium. We know that's going the same way. There's iron ore up in the north. We know that will go the same way. We have 175 state-owned enterprises in this country. That's 175 businesses. And all they can do collectively is contribute 5% to our gross domestic product. Why won't I be happy? Because we're talking about creating tens of thousands of direct jobs and tens of thousands of indirect jobs. We're talking about generating internal revenue for the country, but through foreign exchange.
But Nana, sorry, why will you be happy for something you know we lack management of our resources? And over the years, you mentioned it for gold, oil. Now we have lithium and all those resources. And over the years, it's proven that we are not managing these resources to the fullest benefit of this country. Why would you be happy for this one?
I'll be happy for this one because it mustn't go to government. That's why I'm happy, because I'm advocating that this is the people's business. You manage gold already. You manage bauxite. You manage oil. You manage gas. You're not supposed to manage this one because everything that you've managed is on the floor. Fatal. Non-productive. So you shouldn't be managing this. Look at what happens with the cocoa board. You've got the farmers there. They're getting a pittance. It's a pittance for the work that they're doing. And every year, the executives at Cocoa Board House, they syndicate a new loan and they say it's to pay the farmers. But I don't know what the farmers get out of that. But I see everybody at the cocoa board driving V8s and they live in big houses and everything is fine for them. Their kids go to private school. Not the same. It's not the same for
the farmers.
For the cocoa. Yeah. I doubt even if those cocoa farmers have tasted chocolate before. I doubt it. I doubt
some of them have not tasted chocolate before. That is true.
Well. So you see, when you hear me say these things, I am happy because it must be left in the hands of the private stakeholders to work with the Narcotics Control Commission to manage everything ourselves. In fact, my slogan is legalization, regulation, and taxation. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Yes, thank you.
Right. I tell you, Opinion I'm the Chicken Koma Huma so Nana Kwajiman, and your opinion that Hempa Agri Ghana Limited are no and on the Chicken Koma Ewonema Bibri Hono. Opinion to the so but Mama and Afi Micham home runner, been caught to Adecakrana, Menfa, and the interviews that can enter us.
Kwame da CP Nana ne Chicken Koma Nona, and no man I'm church and a dozen tin Mamin to me boname. What shall you be sad to say? I don't know any edge say. Adeɛ ya yɛfɛ no deɛ tafe no wi no yama ho kwansi yennua na ɛho nsam te sɛn kwan bɛ ne bɛfa so ebedua no kwan bɛ ne bɛfa so ebeton no ne sidi bi sɛ nyina ɛno so nsɛm no wabisa ne nyina do so pa na mane mfa no nkumankuma mu no nkyerɛkyerɛ aseɛ ɛnde deɛ ɔde hyɛ aseɛ ne sɛ deɛ yɛfɛ no wi no a ye ton wano enye no na parliament agiatum ti enche no so sa na di agiatum sisi e no ene di feni wi no se na se no eni nua eno no de isi aye won ye mamu de Ghana ne toso abibiri ma hu nyina ni padodo a enom no mu de adwuma enti o fa South Africa Nigeria Ghana ne toso miensa osi de isi aye won hanom no ade ne wom no a emani pa eni suye no wisi wonom a wo ham gichimo aduonu num 25% ena wo de ye woni mo ha udua etime nyini 7 feet na the parliament age atum say yenua no eno de eyetia bi udua enyini 16 feet na ade ne wom no a de no no ma ye ni so ye wisi no aduro ne wo ne fen THC no 7% and the EC nnua no 0.3% 16% sorry and the EC nnua no 0.3%. Enti no the EC nnua ne CCA no the edua ne CCA no enye no no ka ho asem na de oka ho asem na kura ebi ni kurum hanum CC afi ne ye bepe ho aba
na ma de ya kraba
na na woka no de okan ye ode kan ho biem ne se de wono ka no se yesi agye atumu no ye de ye adwumadwuma mu ade ne wonfa so bebre
no boboy
na bobo bi se omo ye rubber no ombe hia plastic ombe hia omo mu sidan ebe hia efisietimi ye no metimi sidan e wo ho afezo so eboa ma mframa ye hia we nipadua no saade no de bebre eba
aeroplane ho ne ma bi kra
wo so on man no so ehia afezo so nkwadi ti no de si de ye no a ye nom ne bi ne de ye ne fisi eboa no de ye de beba no ewo enoma kese chen de si akra ye hunu no afi eja ha o si ne oil so wo ho ne oil no se bibi bompupunya obi ho abetim de aye so bi ehome nya abetimi ama ne bi ama no home asisi so afi etwere obi so ade bi ma no abetimi akọ afi de ye de ba no sisi ya no kra no o se etimi boa ma asasi sisi asasi e ma se asasi bi ase ya
no do asase mo am asase no te say baby o me galamse ya cyanide dey ade say
na ase no
do you etimi neutralizing the man sa ne man has asase ni na free me etimi say no abia wo mbio
sa ma asase no sa fa na ho odin bi afezu nsuo ya ye de galamse ase ni nyina na odu bi won nchen a na de ni timi ko ni timi ko form ya 2 meters a enkose ahwe eno so timi boa ma na duane ne de o se fa no superfood duane bi a udia amapom de ne kese pa ekoso wo nipadua bia mu aje kwa me ko bisanse bi okruman ma na wo se si ade ebi ni kruma na ye de bi ba ye behwe sa ban ahwese de aba no ye de ye hia no enye de ye hia no nyaye na se mo kan ya ye hye no so ne se o se so bi dua de ti si aye nom no a o ka wo chemu no se friend recreational de free ti de gi ye ni no ene de ye industry ade no so bi dua bi na so 50 miles away every day ye de gi ni no a de ye de ye adwumadwuma ade no etimi free anmo akokose ba akono edi ne ye wa yam hihie se so bi betimi adua bi wa fu ba akum no ase adua bi wo mfimfin no e ba sa no a eno kra de e be se no kra
if you cross pollination unti no if you hold na akọ ni we ni no instead say we ni be ye na yati no waso no e be se na ye
no we na ma no de e wo fam nti wo se no so ayi ba ko a ye wo no afi ade ba ko no sere se moma yenua ade ni bi e wo kurum ha ne momoa edua na abana no sense de bi ebe iska ne akwa akoto aba ebe iska ne akwa akoto aba enti mom ye nya ne saa se de be ya ebeboa kwa mbisa ne se ye be ya de ne greenhouse na si be si dan kuma bi ne de no o se nye greenhouse asem ne yenua na bontim fi se kuruma ye tie no de awrade am ya de bebre na se mo kan ya na emsire a wo se nyame ahire bebre zuzu nhira ne hu de ye na ye toto na sesa
azika greenhouse no crowd here near you do ya had da na no ya de no eno crowd ya say controlling ne regulating te no mum kan na say greenhouse na when mum de timi dua no freely
sanity afobizan se na ade ya wo kekan bebre sa no fi say disca bebre bebre ya na say no se ya sika de bebre de bebre na so wo bo sika bi poti din de ontimi mo na onde ogidi se ye nya hwe crowd no afi bi benya be $100 million ewo ho na oto aso kan se sukuu fo bebre ewie sukuu a university fo aba mpanyimfo akọ yes graduation om se adwuma ni hobi anyene no honye na we no be ya de be boa sa sukuu fo no bebre amomaye aba adwuma ni ade nyina no bu nkunta ohamgichemu num 5% penalty me support na te se de abomama ne dada na ba adwuma bebre gu ebi on me de nwura mu ye no ma eho hia na ase ya bepem ne na we ni de edwo ha ene ne mpem so ene na apem so adwuma na de bebrobia na kwamzanze na omoni age ade we hoin sa ade friditi nyina no yentimi hwesu nye poor management ni ade ya se no
yo ni hwesu ye
no so kwa me mane ha okora we de enya de komo obie koko yi si de mankofu bi o mo hweso so sa mpanyifo na hweso no we odaka kesim ni ade no so koko kuani bi okora ade feeling chocolate kuro ni bi da ebi kura mi lo kuro no mi da na we ni de enya de kwa akoma obi ama na hweso wa na abepo wasase kuma bi na wa ya de ntie so a na wa kwa akoton no baby also
proposing that too because nakok for no emfa modalities ne mind no ono de so nya ya ka ban ni self home na ka ankran mum engo into business
aba kwa mo free say we no enkoye de aban koja ta de ni ase.
Yes, son no peno. And we son no peno because the name said the you.
Aba kwa me de praise what
you na control na ko yete se cocoa board dey ya kan bi. Na fi mo si nya hemp control board. Now omo na se wo ye wi a ne yakoton omo no beto akwa mo no ne yakoton amaye.
Ai. No kwa me say
no ka se be side doesn't benefit your
ordinary
because cocoa ram ye hu say cocoa sika wo mu nyina no. And the kasifa na kasa no enuru akuafo akuafo na kasa ho enti ye sese ne aye koko yi dia
e de asembe ba
e de anya dia mo bedua no fa so dia beba so say that make say lances buying companies all business you to koko amotonma etomba koko board to say olam kuapa koko we some different LBCs say come so online say some so to be ton come and say dwa so e ko ton one akada with that competition akome hwe kuafo ni ye. And to be frank with you, first nanka PBC pede to koko. Produced by a company no me yanda cocoa board.
Yeah.
Omna no omo to koko. And na afedi omo biye mu. Wa womli bright no mama other license by companies bam. E ma competition bam.
Okay.
So be ko hwe a akuafo no enya eniam papa bi free because of competition. Omo free private sector and buying. To buy PBC is not doing well as it used to do.
Okay.
They say olam no money akuapa koko ne omo mekeka honom. They are doing well because akuafo no person dem koko ba ko to amom because omo get incentive. Omo loan G eniema koko akade ya de koko no. Obeton ayin ma me koko aban ma me an ma tie free.
Right.
Can enter sa. Enti no ye ma lances buying companies the bam no. Ama koko akuafo no ehun eye emputu kakra bi de mfaso de ewade no mo yenim.
Right.
But say can you go ahead na ye yi niam wo ho nyina fi ho na etimi mo ton efi ha directly e de kwa bansan dwa so koton a kaminim how is going to go anyway.
Say the can never ma competition about me nti be mo bia set up obi abetena see because in baba akopɛ ne so gi
go find the PBC for the penalty of efi koko across the country.
They so mo aso na je koton.
So
German so.
No, but say they were licensed by a company, some toffee cocoa for. First that you produced by a company, pen the toffee cocoa.
But say still no some of no some overhead at the AB supervision be over them.
They don't. They say cocoa
quality control.
Quality control cocoa health and extension division shared for no and then no more seed production unit or more different departments.
But say quality control fund will have to certify so what they now they corner you okay.
Of course, almost certify will be even PBC. And you do call Obiano warehouse no back certified, you know. So almost certified Bia wo Kumasi ha. Baby am shed no Obiano omo no ma be yes artist dia.
Ni na person ka say say ni kwan say dia no ko hye musa ati say dia koko dia ne
say no kayama gran kwan wan ka say timi dua wa de wo kwan afa so a wo de hu say we ye quality wo de akwa mansan dua so akoton wanya osika na wo de aba dan say be aban control because cocoa board ko syndicated loan e de akuafo nyina din e hu say oh this year you be nya be ebia 900 tons and bibi ni akoton ni ya kwaji sika no ya ba sika no sen na kokwa for one bag of cocoa
ya sanity there I think Nana should write a paper also what krata bi I did watch extensively on it and also krata bi also said ebema attention abaho na yetimi aton sa se ne be ya enkoye senkofu bi na be sa akogya to mani ase na ne to ne ho asem nyina no akwakoye boachi bi ni bibi e ba ya na efe na nzo so ne kirasem no ya na nkonton
kan se wa ho na se efe ni yeke se ye guided by dia e wo ho de dalenti no e betimi ahwe ne ho no mistakes ne repeat wo ha bio right when me twa me home brand na ye mfa nkomo twa wo ho nyina no to aso informative for the for me twa me home ti aba na ya to aso
Salosi syrup any tablet da be be fia na mo ne mo ma onum bi ani je so pa enso mo ma me bi da Salosi wo ka sei kra na ne tablet e da me ni wo sha e be de ni wo sa
the aba your Facebook so you're live your Facebook and what share time 97.7 like a page share na fe also far wa dwen nyina go won ho mame na making kind nyina cannabis sativa honkomo ayedi yagede atumu se yenua ewo omai Ghana mu na yentimi enya eho emfaso no honkomo na yeguso edi menkwa homa so na mini nkomo we emra na yemeto aso Kwame Saponwase Edu pharmacist na oye CDD fellow ewa homa so na yeni nkomo wakwa pharmacist won kire yenu enura ewo sa cannabis sativa imu a ebetimi ayenya ho emfaso Kwame so timi nkambo me mo acha no pen pom ti so panyin Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Nem pom ti say Kwame Yo, ya beda se pa no mra no pe wonyama ye ne yetiefo na enkoma ye di cannabis sativa nia mra se bedwoma kwaji atomo na watu etwa mu se enei no ye betimi adua not for recreational purposes but for medicinal and industrial purposes no eno nkomo na ye di na wo bakwa pharmacy CD na je mo na mo hwe ndro mu niema ye di no ye ndro ne niema ye keka bomu ndro de boa ni pedua no sa cannabis sativa yi ni ayekan ya se ne THC level 0.3 no eno no ndro ben ne wo mu a ma di pedua no ti abema ye ho mfa so
Okay, me da se micha etiefo ansa na san komo we ye betumi ye diamant ase aye ejuma no esi edi kan ko yechi na ye hwe kwan kra nnuro a ye use generally eba fititini na eba bedu penso a ye use wo hospitals and pharmacies near the intimatry mo adwe akwa kakra me sure say obi a otie bia na bia ni nipa bi akoye operation ana wakwa akowoda na yakase ye be ma ne de broni friend painkiller ana edura ye de be ko etia eyawa esanse owo ana se ye de sekan aka ho na me ebeba no so ubesha wo mu you see ndro bi e friend no ebi o high friend morphine ebi o friend dimorphine ebi o friend pechidi sandro we nyina no if you do abemi na bae morphine ni dimorphine fi die bia your friend opium poppy mo ena ebae na so hwe opium poppy a ne kese pa na yedua no Afghanistan ye wo de broni friend an illicit trade I say I'm boniswa ye de tons andro we na ye beka se obi wo ho a owo heroin owo morphine ni ade a wom ye wo an illicit trade and ye wo a medicinal trade and any morphine ni dimorphine oxycodone ni ade a ye use was yaresapia no ubetumi asa basa pepepe e de abeka eduro bi say a ye friend cocaine fi edua baby a ye friend erythroxylum coca I no so eye ahaban sa na za cocaine eye eduro bi a inkoford fane illicit just a crime bone so ema ye wo mra etia say odi cocaine impo be call mind bi mu ana say odi what do you call it ye be chew say ukra cocaine insufisa erythroxylum cocaine mo ye wo lignocaine ye ken e ya muti ewo ayaresa nyina obet xylocaine lignocaine ya de nyina no if it's the same erythroxylum coca planting if the broni be friend alkaloid prime alkaloid the word erythroxylum plant my friend egonine hydrochloride and no na unya udi biye betumi aye cocaine betumi di biye xylocaine betumi di biye lignocaine mixa ken na ya muti so into your an illicit regulation for cocaine unim say Colombia near there drug laws near cocaine but you a medicinal route so even in Ghana sa erythroxylum plant near a grow Ghana friend erythroxylum truxulence a grow what do you call it mampon site or wild any Kwewu region so bebre it is known
okay.
But in Ghana, you were a regulation. Etia narcotics control laws. Etia so the cocaine and heroin ebeba on mine because ebetumi aba be say nipa no any a sign what misuse of drug laws eboa so ukwayare sabia na se mpo wenya pain na ye be prescribe MST morphine sulfate tablet amount between a prescription at pharmacy. But yet, mouse are prescriptions now. In rubber brain, who says a pharmacy, they keep you control drugs register, and so keep you count log in this annual man. Inti me chumwa draba basis to say, Imraya say, Yashe, ewa cannabis sativa on. And that is so because already there were existing laws to allow us to use some of these drugs. And now, two typical examples, and also plants with what do you call it, morphine, any what do you call it, cocaine.
Yeah.
It's yambra cannabis sativa. So, cannabis sativa, a plant beer, it contains a lot of alkaloids. It contains cannabinol, it contains tetrahydrocannabinol, it contains nabilone. Sa in ruin, so Usha, Abraham age me. You will a drug friend is Sativex. You use it for multiple sclerosis. And you're licensed. And you're regularly dispensed. Because a fee sa cannabis. And you sign one nabilone. You will enroll and also another painkiller. You used. Therefore, to me at Google at check certificates. They are registered products that are used globally. In fact, as far back as 2016, I wrote an article listing all in raw if cannabis sativa remover.
Okay.
It is also documented that tetrahydrocannabinoids. One more, their friend bronchodilatory effect. It has a bronchodilatory effect at the NHA. So, obi wa asthma, asthma for Ventolin pump. There's a lot of research in the use of tetrahydrocannabinoids in Sanyamano. Then there's the use of these in the hair and cosmetic industry. So hemp products creams that are body containing hemp. Then there's the jute industry. Bags are bags of and buy one bags are jute. I am jute. So the question then became, say, in your may would drasso, young fans said drugs needed Ghana, me who baby I use it Saturday. But meaning said cannabis oil near dear. They are available in Ghana. They are also painkillers.
Kwame mepacho answer na beto aso no mepacho chinami we mu answer na wato aso sane ma abobo so se eye cannabis sativa timi ye nyina no indica no so timi ye ana nya ye dua wo krom ha de dare enim se afẹ no wi no eno so timi ye sane ma we nyina ana ye nya bi frim
Time FM 97
and I made sure was say sanka into a honor can maybe answer our question.
Okay.
Say because first there's here say plant no and medicinal use and industrial use and a sign war cosmetic use. Now the question becomes plants no it's like they mature say and into that may chassis because you use erythroxylum coca and erythroxylum troxylens. So we show erythroxylum coca cocaine concentration was so passing erythroxylum troxylens. They grow Ghana. I'm sorry, and cocaine agonine hydrochloride, which is the precursor. It was so crossing there were erythroxylum troxylens, which grows in the West African subregion. Similarly, some cannabis plants contain higher concentrations of cannabinol and tetrahydrocannabinol compared with others. So the question then becomes the answer to your question is yes. We are a grow Ghana who contains all these things. Are you bet to me at the aye? Sa in royal meka.
Okay.
However, so was the same that was why I may call to the illicit and not illicit use of some of these. Also the same to minimize the risk to the population. And it now yet a limit at so said not more than 0.3%. It's no different, and I use global examples when I try to explain this thing. And some say, Singapore now you're chill with morphine. So them say a firing squad and hanging.
Yeah.
It's one hospitals where you see morphine sulfate tablets. When you see diamorphine injections.
I see. Maybe sad for that clarification because yama amafo adwen say ne yedua wo Ghana ne de onu ma dam nko an ebo wo ana say emfa de papa bi ama. That is why I was asking for the clarification. That's right.
No. That is not the case.
That's right.
And then I see a thing you maybe asking a grow Ghana no a wide species of the cannabis sativa. And I was going to go forward and explain that industrial no a so cultivated. I just said 7. Abe also abe krano you want friend are Greek and I want abe
local one
cocoa you was a bro. There was even tilapia. There was because when you go into commercialization now, but I ever see when you say, I did no media at the aqua ye a juma way. Inti and yet THC in our water, cannabinol at the aqua you withdraw, and as a jute no. So your emphasis will be how you can cultivate quickly. Now when you usika because tone. Amankofuato edi akwakoye den edi akwakoye injuma won person me no but then the bigger question me no ema me think why the parliament has legislated me say sure imba wo mu tie wo mu ko dwaso a wo mu se wo mu kwakoto cream aye wo mu tu creamy e wo wi wo obi anya wo bisa se na ade aye bra ewo man mu de eye dan na ewo krimu amedi yemiti ya brow into definitely na so obi nya raw material na odi ayesa inku na wo de be ye otrimu as a cosmetic product so to the American say
yeah very well
if you do not regulate the supply chain saying I won't be raw material then what happens debi no ebeba ba bedu say to say inro you use regularly. Who said you manufacture organa crano, even cassava starch. You did your bulking agent, yakra.
Yeah.
This will bank you organa. What it make?
Yeah,
raw material be a cold drum wire, the NT, so I'll show your pharmaceutical industry. Even though 30% of the Ghana's pharmaceuticals are manufactured in Ghana now. It's reliant on between 85 to 90% foreign exchange because they won't manufacture Ghana and Krabibia or Mokra. It is a year. Nothing wrote said, Nabilo, Nis certificates, Nis annual money every year. They friend off patent because Ghana, you can say, draw your patent, which is OP, and I tell you, what you should draw them, and or the Ababe to just say, draw it. It's a year. Research at the COVID vaccines by and I'll say media back your friend of Pfizer your friend is say into know the sana bar who to be for open manufacture be a man who quite say be on manufacture for another 10-20 years and tenica for research or yeah and no cheap now conform to me a manufacture into Ghana no I manufacture be brain a generic manufacturing but your crab or material and the Bible do review but near manufacturer certificates for Ghana because in conform multiple sclerosis for Ghana in conform what do you call it nerve pain or Ghana if you be using that below then they be see you best start your crab raw material if you are broche now your was why you be to me the we need to have a balanced conversation about Sadio
you need now Kwame unim wa ma dwen kra ya me na kakra sativa yi ye nhede nua wo Ghana this say ya kra the seeds ne ba meboa
no we there you do Ghana
but
I mean illegally
okay but sativa don't make can say and kra dey say
no certificates ne dey a draw and no extract of tetrahydrocannabinol and the aye draw say you throw a prescription so
okay
maybe I message and only your plant
no I agree
extract
baby I be ban your plant na make no near you do for industrial purposes yeah you can ho asem say and no sativa yeah
oh no I say you were agriculturists, they agronomists to Ghana. And into America said we can decide to go into research to see say you better to me even are cultivating time using cocoa research. So am I a research about who say into that you want agri cocoa. We can also do the research in Ghana because we have the outlet.
My argument is even that sir you will be what that say you can say near you do what illegal na you do illegally no I for use for illicit purpose no and then I demand regulatory and no because it is known say a year we Ghana happen with our soil and then I regulatory and no moment bebre saying you be crazy in the abano. What do you think?
No, and then I make say a faina imranaba a faina moment penny go sign into law. Then there would be LIs which will come out of it with guidance. At this stage, you know, you need if one member authorization for what grows in Ghana to be planted.
No, for now.
Conditions say can be regulated.
For now, near Omodi Abano and can you do Ghana no for other plants no for industrial purpose no sativa and Kuano and can be sativa and Kuano my place yenduano near Ghana de dano.
Yes, and I make us, but that doesn't stop us from researching into that universities for Ghana and coming out with different species or hybrids that would give us the same THC levels and give us the same outcomes.
Okay, I understand.
One will say sometimes no. I've always told people, say as a researcher and a scientist and a pharmacist, I never tell myself that something is impossible, because when you break the word impossible down, it simply reads I am possible. Into a mentality, how they approach problems are a confront to society. And I'll tell you, I mean, Mike Tyson. Or a $500 million a year.
Greenhouse cannabis.
What did they make us? I employ people. Well, the biggest problem, I mean, who need regulation. The question is, can we regulate it properly? That is the biggest problem, I mean. But then I ask myself, well, we are able to regulate and use all these extracts erythroxylum cocamuba in your hospitals. Yes, still uncle for you see me. I sure say as a journalist, what to say sometimes health professionals be one more petty than me. Say we know that it's a global problem. But you're regulating.
Yeah.
Same as crack, heroin, but still I regulate say unya cancer na no ya obetumi MST tablets annum. So we regulate it. So we have a track record of an ability to regulate some of these plants that have the potential to be abused. Can we do it on the basis of our experiences with these plants for Indian hemp?
Okay.
Now, the question is
I see. Now, Kwame, and only asemna ababetomi. How do we do it? Sebia, if you are to advise the Narcotic Control Commission, how do we do it? Yenya ne send a cocoa board. Eto omumpe enomoto cocoa ekwa manseja so kotono. How do you regulate it? Send ya kind of pepe no. Send ya ebi omo UK or Canada, any other places, you know. How do we put in the structures and the systems?
Set planting to start with. No, planting is normally regulated. In Tiabawamra, I shall say, Bia, Asimesi, Indian hemp. In this zone, Ebia say, a wall, blah, blah, blah. Odia, Ocha, Ebia company, way now, export, so they work with cocoa. Or export here, there needs to be what Bronifran and audit trail. I shall say, Bia, Botonum. And a fear for num coye, botonum, and I receive you what a manata credit report, botonum, and as I could do, say, US and now Canada and UK near there, because woman import your botonum, na woman. And this Koya said, they're happy with your gold, the na abrochime one match say womunya X amount of gold we Ghana but to call your porter they declare ye why. We need to learn from not just the regulations from the narcotics control board, but even from our border controls, customs near there from gold, ni cocoa near there equa, they declared the amount either less than what and all that. We need to learn from these things in an effort to regulate the sector.
Yeah, because nipa be brave what you say resources are your mu sample near managing and home for swan here no money nya ye gidi say we nko ade e be extraordinary be my bibia e be different from the way you manage other resources.
Yes, and I mean there's an argument for that. And woma kasa no metu woma say because so what say e cry bia cocoa na ya tena hwa man kofo abe galamsey no ma say cocoa mfo ni nyina ayenim say one of our major what do you call foreign exchange earners. Na yehwe the way galamsey ni say yensuo na ye import fish. Na yehwe say te meka ye dua banche so import starch. Eba be pharmaceutical products. Now the cost of any tomatoes now you import here. There is a reason why Nkofo can genuinely ask these questions and won't be bisa. But the countervailing fact they say inti yen to be answer. Yeah, because why you say yeah. If that is the case, do we really want to develop this country?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they have a genuine argument, but we need to learn from some mistakes to become a better society. We want to create jobs near there.
Of course.
For example, Adena destroy cocoa farms. When now there are cocoa processing companies that want to process it into finished products. Niche chocolate drink, chocolate, snake white, near the Ghana. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Anytime I've been asked this question, maybe say this whole cannabis thing, no, yes, it's opened up a good conversation. I didn't come up,
and it is even long overdue, right?
Yes, it's bringing up a bigger conversation. I didn't come as to why I am to be managing raw materials. So I
agree with you. I agree with you.
Limited conversation just to an intermediate call your say there are plants that we have been able to regulate that have also serious illicit use. So we call Mampo kind so unkofo for ma wo mu erythroxylum truculent ya no amori or say oh ori ana I man takrama yeti they don't even know say gun hydrochloride no more.
No crack. And Kwame, I think conversation I shall say no. Ya cost one yen no cost we edin common said the bay ya better and near man that control commission no ebe to Germany at me regulating ye near yan for sure was so ankasa. Now on the average, you know, obet me abu say my research be who meaning say globally it is hovering around $100 billion as and the market area for no. We also say Ghana roughly ebet me nya bear he woman manually
7.7 FM.
So say difficult to know, and make us difficult to know because the cannabis market need grow because there are a lot of drugs they say are in even clinical trials based on cannabis extracts, and a cannabis oil is also showing a lot of prominence. Market now, like a global market, as in there, but that market is growing. So, to the Americans, and one thing is known: say, woman, legally were American Mike Tyson and so so to the American 97.7 you and well some of them say Rwanda's were illegalized.
Yes.
Womudia I'm glad they start export. So them sir.
Yeah, and I'm say Canada ni Uganda so assigning a deal.
97.7.
Yes. Now Uganda and Rwanda, women in Africa, and you be near the do almost. Then the way you Ghana for Huntia, you to me, I said Kagame and name Museveni to me.
That's leadership.
That is the question I make us. It is bringing a bigger conversation, and the conversation is what we need to have.
Right. Kwame.
About saying you lead you.
Medase, I'm ready to know. Young fancy and pay. I'm saying, send a can call. So, no, we're going to have a bigger conversation. Near national discourse on it. Now, yet to me, I can see being your home for sure. Medase, Panum, when I'm near Matif and pay. Right, and you know, Kwame Sapwasiedu, a pharmacist to be of in Rome, woman running the account, and now, or yes, CDD fellow, and now, or UK Brutimamuna, you don't know, attitude and Comono. I think, Mammy Fachakasia and Coma, a year president, and Ado Dan Kwakufuado, Nebaba, Edwina, and Nadukua, Akufuado, and Opay, you are doing the listening, baby. I want to pay be out here time FM, and Chakosia and Coma, we wish you so well, baby. I will be out to no pay Tino and check it and come out Edwina Nana Dukua Akufuado and the producers of Marty Sawasukusua Wuti Ayama Ghana Jumadi our time 97.7 check it and come out and have a good morning Oba Ayasantimana baby I will be ano over to me actually and what here Facebook and other social media platforms so YouTube in the account nano over to me at ma Menko a Facebook na me share and some kakra a month for a day about na yen twaso Ebenezer Pokusa, good morning, KK. I'm enjoying the morning show at Nkokwa Kuajo. Keep on with the best morning show in Ghana now. More fire. Professor Eben, incoming assemblyman Nkokwa Kuajo, DNA. We say, Crespo, the way every fufu. I see breaking the 8 is possible for MPP, but unity first. Nana Kwame Addison said, watching you live from South Africa. Fantastic show. Thank you very much, Nana Kwame. And Emrante Hene Danny Boy said, watching you live from Obuasi, Emrante Hene Clothing, Obuasi Horse Park, and also Edieni. Let me see. Wait, your friend Kofi Ajiman, black man, our Facebook, said, watching you inside Pig Farm in Accra. Or no say or no air share na OT our Pig Farm one crime. And advanced criteria dream big. Say good morning, keep up the good work. More far or no so dia or they buy. No so better me dia ba our Facebook social media. Share na like it na fe found some go home. WhatsApp line also 0200 977 977 0200 977 977 na and so me fa brem na making kind na no pay Eddie Amawo. Menkwa humaso na ebentoa eso Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba Executive Director Emma African Center for Health Policy Research and Analysis ewa ahumaso na meneno eni enkomo emfa we ho menim se doc twi no enye mayemu but betimi dia frafra man ya enye bone doc timi kan mo ache no penim pom tisen
so me chao na me chia for
meaning say twin yes we better then ya na dia frafra ma me eni brofo ni nyina no ne aye more comfortable no ama ne kosro Medase pano mrano pay na nkoma ye di cannabis sativa mrache bedwam ya gidi atum say yebetimi adua se say ye hwe mrane nhihye ya ye de betoto ho said ye be ya go overboard say e be abuse and the people for taking advantage of it mo ye research health policy mo dey kan wint no oji di say akaya fra on a round table with the Narcotic Control Commission. As I say, Ben now did say community to wa a beboa a banfua a year drip a beboyam any structure says here the two wa a bit me regulating home.
Me that was a bit brave. Me sure say Yenina say bill no person to enable industrial production of products from cannabis sativa. So I mean say our medical use. Medical use no na homotina painting no na ema ye pass bill no. Me as a medical doctor and then also somebody I think I read small on research my future documents we as regarding medical use ye using my products from cannabis or cannabis preparations. My friend is our cannabis preparation. Mission the history no be catch baby kakra na yentimi shua from it. in Timber uses some 2 minutes. I can a little history about it. Here in the 19th century, now cannabis was widely used across the world, but because of lack of standardization, we can measure how much the person is using to treat a particular ailment. Because obinu cannabis a cigarette na onye health remedy relief out of it. What amount no one won't can? Besides smoking, besides drinking or a concoction of it, besides taking the oils that they extract from it, besides using the vapor that is coming from it to treat, it was very difficult to make it like a tablet, make it like an injection, or make it like a special liquid that you can quantify that this is the quantity that you are taking to relieve this symptom. So because of that, it came to a point that drove a brave buyer to treat other ailments that narcotics, cannabis were treating. So you are saying, you movie figure, say, you see cannabis again for treatment because of its side effects. So in 1961, the UN included cannabis as a single convention in the single convention on narcotic drugs. So it means that it is said it has no medical use. You are saying to say any medical use. That was in 1961. But however, because in America, the young boys do not only use it for recreational purposes, there was a demand from the youth to make sure that cannabis was allowed to be used so that they don't be locking people who are taking cannabis for recreational purpose. And in US, in 1999, accepted that in 1970s, accepted that cannabis should be used for recreational purposes, not because of medicinal issues, not because of medicinal purposes, but because of recreational purposes. Then there that scientists then said, okay, whilst we are now allowing it to be used, let me mention that not all the states in America allowed it. Some few states allowed it, they started growing. Then now scientists then said, let's do a research to see whether it really has a medicinal use. Then laws were passed. Different states had their laws passed. So they allowed it for medicinal use. So they now picked anecdotes. Doctor will say, oh, we cannabis a bit away. Doctor will say, we cannabis a bit in this side. Then they gathered all the information from single doctors and opinion clinical experts and said, okay, let's do a good study on all the claims that cannabis betimia so yare a unuma betimia in this disease. So some few studies were conducted. Let me be honest. Some few studies were conducted. And those few studies, when you come to medicine, we have classification of studies. Whether it is poor, moderate, intermediate, or first class, or randomized controlled trials. Not by the
Doc, Michelle, so ultimately, time is that humanity to Jessica Crash, so bet me I don't know how crabby the mammy about the permission.
Maybe Tina said direct on the phone.
Sorry, okay, Matthias, I feel a bit on
right. So Europe also started passing legislation, Canada and other countries started passing legislation, China and the rest, that people could use it for recreational purposes. But no Food and Drugs Board, no Food and Drugs Board has passed the use of cannabis as medicine, but for only 5 chemical components of cannabis that has been approved by FDA to be used in treating certain ailments.
Okay.
So the rest of the components, they have cannabis has about 102 active ingredients, but they have only accepted 2 to be used for the studies. So it means that the whole world has studied only those 2 active ingredients. And if I tell you the results of all those studies, I bet prove it, they are not superior in treating what we say they can treat than current medications that exist for the treatment of those things. Okay. And I'm going to go there because that is the main concern of our public.
Okay.
That is the main concern our public should know. The argument is that cannabis or cannabinoids, that's the derivatives from it, can be used to treat what we call nausea and vomiting when you are on chemotherapy for cancer. So when you are taking chemotherapy and they go to Kolebu, they give you, or Kompanoti, they give you cancer treatment, it will let you stop vomiting and let the nausea, the desire to vomit stop. Look, there are only 3 studies in the whole world that have studied that. And it has shown that it is not more effective than the current antiemetics that exist, because the study was done with a drug they compared to it. That is all know, which is one of the weakest anti-vomiting drugs. The current anti-vomiting drugs even control vomiting from chemotherapy better than cannabis. That's one. Currently, new chemotherapy drugs have lesser nausea effect. Means that when you are taking them, it don't cause you to vomit and have nausea before. So the evidence to back that it can be used to stop what we call vomiting and nausea from chemotherapy, that evidence no longer holds water.
Okay,
because the newer drugs that can be quantified, that can be dosaged, that can be used for a research are there.
Okay, so Doc, if I get you right, what you want to put across in this two ingredients, the other active ingredients out of the 102 active ingredients, they are not exceptional and robia ebroso. I say yes said that who did be no to send you ni ho a enrobia ni ho no meboa.
They are not exceptional.
Okay.
They are not exceptional. Another use they say can be it can be applied for HIV and they are growing lean. That research was done in the 1990s and early 2000s. That was when the HIV medicine could cause patients to reduce weight and become very slim. But there are current drugs that can let you have a better appetite and build more muscles than the derivatives from cannabis. Meaning that, and currently, the new drugs that they work for HIV, HIV drugs is here, because they realized it was causing reduction in what? In weight. So they have to modify it to put chemicals that would allow you to take it and would not grow lean for people to know you have HIV. To avoid what we call stigmatization. So that is it.
Okay.
So and now there are drugs that you can even take that are steroids that you can take to even gain weight from HIV than the current derivatives from cannabis.
Okay.
So it means that the use of cannabis for HIV related weight losing has no place now in medicine.
So for you, the huge buzz about this legislation and legalization of this sativa is needless.
Let me be honest with you, and I agree with the studies by the European Union scientists that did extensive research. Cannabis derivatives can be used as supplements, and even the researchers that they use the cannabis derivatives to do, they use them alongside with most of them alongside the current treatment, especially in the convulsing children. Not them alone. They can be used as supplements, and then the only thing that the research that proves that it has some moderate usefulness with current medications is where the children have the epilepsy.
7.7 FM.
That you can use it for. But even in that study, they use diazepam in addition to that medicine, which is diazepam that we use to control the convulsion, with that medicine and achieve just a moderate relief of the convulsion, as well as the monospasm and multiple sclerosis. They use the medicine alongside with already drugs that they were using and achieve just a moderate relaxation of the muscles. So that is why they are advising that it should be used as supplements.
Okay.
It shouldn't be used as a medical product. When you say something is a medical product, it must go through what we call a randomized control trial. Randomized control trial, that you try it with that one alone with a placebo. Placebo means you can give the person water and give this person the medicine and see whether the two of them will be different. All what they did with the derivatives from cannabis were all done. Most of them were done with their current the current medications we have in the world alongside. They were not done just alone. And why they did it alone, cannabis derivatives didn't have any better advantage over the current medications we have. So cannabis that we are talking about are claimed to be cannabis preparations. They are not medical products because no randomized control trial has been done on them because they are not considered as medicine. They are just like if you take multivitamin or you take you go and drink coffee to increase your heart rate to improve something, or you take vitamins when you have long-term malaria. You take blood tonic and add to help you boost your immunity to get up very fast. To be honest, that is how the European Union has claimed it, and from all the researches that were conducted on cannabis sativa, that is how the world has seen it. And that is the main reason why no one can write to the FDA or write to a research institution asking for permission to take the cannabis preparations, which can either be the oil, be the capsules that they grind the cannabis and put them in a capsule, be a patch, be whatever, to any research institution and ask for permission to do a randomized control trial, because it is not a drug that has undergone the studies that we do on a drug from beginning to end.
I see. That is interesting, Doc.
I would recommend this. Let's use it as supplements. Not that it hasn't got some benefit. There is what we call the expert opinions, weekly structured scientific research. Because if you get scientific research, other people will read it and see whether your method was good. If it's not good, they'll classify it. Though it's a research you've done, they classify it. Most of the researches that they did for the cannabis derivatives preparations were not world-class research methodology they used. They've all been criticized by well-developed scientific institutions.
Okay.
To be established.
Okay.
But to use it as a supplement, to use it for other purposes, like to create for the people like they are seeking in Ghana. Everybody is saying that to create jobs. I beg you, it will create jobs. We have so many things in Ghana that can create jobs, and we have not yet been able to do it. Something that doesn't need control.
Okay.
Do we need any control to do a chocolate factory?
All right, Doc. I get you from that point. Sorry, so that we can move on with this. What can the aspect of being medicinal? I am also looking at the aspect of being industrial. Nia only useful for a year be plastics. Nia only useful for a clothing line. What about that?
That one, look, hands up for it. Hands up for it, because AB cannabis is said to produce better cotton than cotton itself, and it's cultured very easily and doesn't need much water like it. It can be used to do lipsticks and those things, do creams, and helps in a lot of things. Those things, I agree to it. They can go ahead. But the problem is, unlike cocoa, unlike banana that is cultivated without any control, cannabis is controlled. Its cultivation is well controlled. To avoid it being smuggled and misused.
And you think we don't have the structure to control it?
Are we able in Ghana? Common galamsey, have we been able to control it?
Is galamsey that common?
My friend, where don't they do that? And we can control cannabis cultivation. Go to countries that they cultivate it and see how it's controlled. So recently in the UK, somebody tried to do cultivation in his building. They arrested him. They got to know it. That is how you are monitoring.
But if it can be done elsewhere, why can't we copy and do the same thing here in terms of structure and regulation?
We don't have institutions in Ghana. Regulatory institutions are weak.
But once there's legislation will come with all those things, right?
Oh, and which are the people to implement it? Not those who are supposed to enforce the current legislations. Is it not the same police? Is it not the same narcotic control board? How many is the staff of the narcotic control board? How many are they? How many are the staff of the food and drug board?
Doc, you think we can't do this, right? Or we should hasten slowly?
Very good. Very slowly. And you see, it will bring benefit to people who are actually, let me tell you, very people who hijack it, because people hating slowly, what we are expecting to achieve, very powerful people would hijack the cultivation. 7.7. And because you can't also employ the youth to go there and be farming it. No, it's not like that, no. It can't. You have to do it in a real enclosed place with very few people, well monitored. So that job employment they are going to give to those families is neither here nor there.
I see. So what kind of policy? And because the Awoka who say, you know, the illegal one that you do Ghana and you say we know is different, and they go see illegal. And then you already back can be sativa idea, and only near the THC level no a work for man. Any institution so body be brebiano. And them say you can't say you make it that distinction. Number 4 who say as soon as you know you can want no. And only need to be controlled as you said. And so cannabis sativa then I think with the low level THC we can easily grow it and maybe regulate it.
Let me tell you, if you grow this, even in the production, the industrial production, do we have pharmaceutical companies in Ghana that are ready to take it up?
But that is the value chain aspect of it. It may come with it gradually.
You see, at the end, let me tell you, I just told you, cocoa that can give us billions. We are not even to manufacture, transform the cocoa into a meat product to be given to, and those that are making billions from it. We are going to get resource people from outside who are dealing in this. At the end, the way that we should have even gained from this, it will go back to the same devolved countries.
Okay.
And at the end, what will be prevalent in Ghana is the one that will be exposed for our youth to use, and that is where the issue of the social deviance and other things come in.
Okay.
To be honest, for me, I think I want to see the Food and Drugs Board report to Parliament, recommendations to Parliament about how they convince them that this can be used for medicinal purposes. What all the research
97.7
is pointing to is that.
Okay. Right, Doc. So finally, what is your candid opinion about this legislation? I mean, I want your candid opinion. Apart from its medicinal purpose, what about industrial purpose? What's your candid opinion about this legislation?
97.7 FM.
Regarding the industrial side, I will just tell you that it's good for industry. It's good for industry. We'll grow. If God help, and in future, one country agrees that they should use it and do what we call randomized controlled trials actually to ascertain its usefulness in medicine. That will help. But besides that, I have serious challenges with what researchers that are in the US, how young chaps are becoming more social deviant as a result of cannabis, even compared to other people who take other substances.
Right. My
fear is the youth getting it very freely and using it. Not only use some elderly people to take it. Even though medicinally they say it is less than dangerous to the human body, but societal deviance is the only problem that they criticize.
Right.
But organically, your body itself, it doesn't do much harm
to the body. Right.
It changes your cognitive behavior. in the society.
Doc, I will thank you so much for your time this morning. Medasipa baby, I want analysis nature more than mine. No, Medasipa, we appreciate it. Right. And you know, Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba, Executive Director, Emma African Center for Health Policy Research and Analysis. And now also in your candid opinion about who said did I be winning hey. Enkusiaga because enura yesi film bano ade mako enura wo mu 102 room and a war yesa can be say kan ho asem no emimienu pep and hwehwemu de abeto dwa se ye betimi ayusu say me no e ka say sam de no kra no enura wo edwa so de da ye de esa omyare no ense no enye superior bia se no dodo bia sa and ye ho dede to no the regulation ni ade no and ogusu a worker ho ensem ntino we just we do ka twi the frame ntino obeti ase bebre no na kakro panyin person de ka ho no na wo de aka ho e de amayan anopa is wutie me na eye stroke nyujuye how we help you be na wunim sciatica say woto ase ya da twetwe wo anase won sa ayeti 3 say okata won sem na wo bia na ayo hawa mawo koko na how stomach ulcer say bia yam aduane toma na say bia toma na ayesi ne kru wo yam typhoid fever and wo so eye namu yade ahodo ni nyara bi say wo hia eho ayaresa amuzu herbal clinic and no pay me come from e dia mawo be ma prostate wo usisi ebia juma we ya no trase cha konwa wo teso kura nya pepa wo dwam wo office wa trase a che say ama sisi ananyina ho grant no usisi eya wo ya no aba muzu herbal clinic afeso be ma wo from pan chen wate ahwe be ma from pan chen ate ahwe na bi wo so a utime tro 1 emunya den one now at no emu said anya din amuzu herbal clinic and make am for the amount be ma one mu be ya din in so 34 back we betimi kura no amu zampa watch no one papa and then one na afon enti the jare ma bobo so nyina bi amuzu herbal clinic be nya no aduro e de amawo oba amuzu clinic yi o wa be fu video be hwehwe ni padua no nyina no de amawo o mogya mu ni hwehwe bia so ye no obe ye de amawo obi a wa stroke na wo ho eto wo physiotherapy ni exercise bia hia massage bia wo hia bia no wo de be ma wo amuzu herbal clinic abefu fidie ne go a ode ya dwuma enu so ade ma de tatahwe yemfa yare yankwa music clinic and san from Matthew Build Ohia muzu herbal clinic tafu ishaye so amuzu junction na be hu no Moro market Achimota one kran so no Christian village the war and Prima filling station no edi hwanim e Achimota Christian village afesunyane area 3 and na be hu amuzu herbal clinic obetimi afre Dr. Panyin 0247 776743 0247 776743 amuzu herbal clinic mauji hiyo cholo wate bram na wobesa wo yare amuzu herbal clinic no 0247 776743 now nyomo edi ankomo obani ma men santo wade quickly emra na fe wutechire ma wo hono unse Dr. Anaba am a different issue to almost depend on makase nyinara I mean this is the kind of conversation I think we need to have on this
very interesting
very
me feel say we na ba no munchichi mu bebre beba and these are expert knowledge on
of
them.
Course.
And you know yakono wo mo magia tumu ne ade no I like the angle he's coming from.
I mean who's the adrian shedama so and he has given that well research on my about research in the juma yesesa actual active ingredients the woman na food and drugs authority for agidi tumu di no and you superior than other nre woman
no kura dem say no kan de ano den no ho asem na no ka na me de me den say o se kwan ye faso ye wie sa research na ye de yo no the needed procedure and you no ma faso the research na
because in all this conversation who's the food and drugs authority woman yeah no mon kasa right mami try home run Kwachi James for Facebook say I'm watching you live from I'm watching you live Time FM also our A&D decoration Ahinema Kokoben you're doing a good job keep it up. Right, Kwachi, thank you. Abuaji Matthew, also on Facebook, sir. Watching you live from Afrancho Heman. You guys are doing a marvelous show. Keep the fire burning. Also, they are or they buy no. Non crab pepe. Me cham wamba. I'm gonna do my and now also.
Dana, hold on. Rebecca Sabak, why? Masheva.
Adia tumo ewo mrashibedwam efa cannabis sativa ehom ena igusu edi ehom komo baby I will be able to me adventure about 0200977977 WhatsApp messages the voice note obetimi afa ho edi aba menko ahoma so na yeni komo etwato ewo cannabis sativa yi eho anopai Dr. Amos Mensah agric economist ewo KWAME Koranten pomu oya checheni wo ho na yeni no eni enkomo Dr. Mensah timi kam wa channel pay no mpomti so panyin.
Good morning, Dr. Metonka. Good morning.
Yo, medasi pa ne omre a wonyama me matifo ene anopay na me se nkoma twetwe atwe no wasugu so na watie bia kama wo wakoye agric economist die ne metimi abisa wo mu se eye sa cannabis sativa yi si agitumu enhye papa wo ho na se yedua economy no faso dia ben pa no e betimi dia brain na fi break it down the value chain a ewo mu mo mind mu so no ene ni pa hodo ne adwumaku ahodo a on betimi enya faso dia e dia free ho.
I'll try to mix the English with Tree because just like my other colleagues,
that is fine. That is fine.
Will not be that. Okay, so for the legislation being passed, I think it's a good thing, first and foremost. I think it's something that gives an indication that we are serious about taking an advantage from the cannabis or the what we locally call the weed industry, because currently it is a black market. Black market means you cannot go and tax, you cannot create any regulation to generate revenue from what is not existing, what is illegally not existing, right? So you cannot get anything from it. Meanwhile, it's causing a lot of problems. So if somebody gets arrested, the person going to prison, you have to feed. And so we are behaving like the thing is not existing, but it is existing, and we are not taking advantage. Meanwhile, there's a global value chain that is out there that is creating a lot of money. So I am personally for the legalization and creating legislation to govern this particular cannabis industry. So that's my first point. I mean, do we need to sit down to have all the structures, institutions, and everything ready before we start? The answer is no. You don't have to be a country where everything is perfect before you start doing something. If that's the case, you'll never develop. So against the background that we have to have the institutions, we have to have everything 100% on point before we start the production, I don't think is the right way. But I think given the fact that we've given legislation go ahead that we are going to look at it, then it's important we look at the value chain. Now, along the value chain, if you look at the production side, and you are talking about getting cannabis with a certain THC level, which the industry will want for the medicinal, for the cosmetic, and for whatever reason, it means we have to look at the variety that is appropriate. There are various forms of varieties out there, but which of them will the industry demand, and which of them is in high demand? Because it can be that the one we have here in Ghana, even though it's locally adapted, may not be the one that the industry is looking for, right? Does that mean that we have to discard what we have here? The answer is no. In agric, we have something that we call you can bud, meaning the one that you have here in Ghana, which is locally adapted, means it's resistant to disease and so many things. It's very tolerant and very hard. So what are the other things that you can put on that very stock, which is the desired variety? You can actually bud it on it in such a way that your local cannabis, which is not the one they want in the industry, will serve as the base, right? Because it's very resistant to the disease, but the top one, which is producing the leaves or the other products, which is the desired one, can be harvested because of the good budding, or you can clone it or create a totally new varieties out of this. So in the production side, we can get it right. Do we have the men at the universities and the research institutions to do this? We have it at CSR, at KNS, and across the various universities. If only research funding can be given to these scientists, they can develop the appropriate varieties that the industries need for us to be part of the cannabis industry globally. So that's the first part of it. It's going to create jobs because there are going to be variety developers. They are going to streamline who and how we produce these varieties, but it's going to come with their own regulation. Then after the production, somebody needs to gather and start processing it into what? When we talk about industrial and medicinal, that even the recreational that people are arguing that it's not for recreational. I mean, you cannot create an industry and ban recreational. The recreational revenue is even more than the sometimes medicinal and the industrial product. So, for instance, we take a product like Guinness. People take Guinness not because they want to cure their headache, but it's for recreational, right? So, if it's serving a purpose, you cannot create a legislation and say, okay, and we are going to ban the recreational aspect. It's difficult to do that. If you look at the case of Holland, you know that it's so difficult to say that you're going to legalize this aspect and ban the recreational. So we have to still find a way which recreational aspect do we want to create as we are legalizing this particular cannabis? Because if you open the Pandora box as we are about to do it, it's so difficult to control it, create another black market to counteract the very industry that we are. So you better take a holistic approach and be honest with yourself that people will consume this cannabis for recreational purpose, whether you like it or not.
So, Doc, you think the legislation at its current form is a bit problematic?
It's problematic. They are not being realistic, and they are afraid of the backlash that will come with it, right? So it's in a way trying to pretend as if, we are legalizing for industrial and medicinal use, while we are not going to allow people to use it for recreational. I mean, even current form, whether you like it or not, people are using for recreational form, including the very people who are creating the law, sitting at parliament. Some of them use it for recreational. Okay, so this hypocrisy have to be taken out. If you are going to create an industry, that recreational form create revenue is going to be there. So you have to be realistic and face it. How do we control that one that it doesn't get out of hand? I think that's the right way. Who should use it, which percentage should be out there in terms of the THC concentration, so that it doesn't cause social nuisance, it doesn't cause mental health issues. Which varieties should be around that it doesn't cause those negative aspects. We can be realistic about it. And once we are realistic and give the authorization and regulation, people will shift to it. But if you create that, okay, we are not going to allow it, but the thing is going to be there, people will create even what is higher than the current form, and it's going to cause a social backlash. So we have to be very open concerning the recreational aspect. Whether we like it or not, people are going to smoke, people are going to drink, people are going to do whatever it is with it.
I see.
And,
maybe looking at the way I am managing other resources, I will the full benefit of the resources that I will. Do you think that I'm for economically the BBBMA or minor you benefit substantially from it? You know, said the structures and said the Matia. Would you say way you bet me your full benefit, economic benefit here, woman?
But that's a different conversation that we have to have. Okay, so Ghana, for instance, we have two main export products. We have the traditional and non-traditional. So the traditional being our cocoa, timber, and bauxite, and all those kind of things. And along the line, we came with the expansion in the non-traditional. For instance, we are now exporting cashew, yam, mangoes, even chili pepper, and those kind of things. Did we sit down to say, okay, we have to perfect the cocoa industry or the bauxite industry before we start exporting yam? No. The point is you have to diversify your economy, all right? It's true that the cocoa industry has been, I would say, mismanaged, state capture. It's not really giving us that much that it's frustrating the cocoa farmers and value chain players along the entire chain. This is a conversation that we have to have. Maybe we have to have another program where we look into the cocoa sector. Who is causing what nuisance? Why is the cocoa industry not generating the needed fund? That's a different conversation that we have to have, so that we don't let what is happening in the cocoa industry destroy a potential benefit that we can get from other industries, right? So we have the cocoa sector, which is totally under state control. What about the palm oil sector, which is not totally under the state control? That any individual can grow palm oil, any individual can sort of process what is happening in the palm oil, which is we can compare directly to the cocoa sector. We realize that the palm oil industry is also not doing that well. So Malaysia, Indonesia came to Ghana to learn how to grow palm oil, and now they are the top leading countries. As a matter of fact, generating a lot to their GDP, and they control the entire value chain. Ghana, we are second in terms of cocoa production, in terms of quantity. That is not also helping. So these are specific dialogue or conversation that we have to have. So I don't want us to conflate the conversation that because we have mismanaged cocoa, we have mismanaged galamsey, we have mismanaged the oil palm, we shouldn't have a diversified product into our export. That is a conversation that will make it, we will not get the true value of the conversation. So if you look at yes.
No, let me have to finish it so I can answer. Maybe beside the next question.
Now, if we move from the production, we are going to processing, right?
Yeah.
Again, because we are looking at the value chain, who are going to be the processors, right? After the farmers have finished producing the required cannabis in that form quality, who's taking it up and turning it into what product? This is something that the legislators have to look at it. Who's taking it up? Which are the industries that have to take up? They get specific licenses that you are taking these products from these regions and processing them into these industrial products, into these medicinal products, into these recreational products, right? So that we know we can trace that 10 tons was produced this year, it moved into these processing facilities, and these are the things that came out. We need to look at it. And then we look at after the processing, the sales and the distribution aspect. Locally, how are we going to sell and distribute the product that came out after the processing? Internationally, who and how are we going to trace who is getting what and what is coming out of it? The conversation about value chain in Ghana is so poor that we just introduce things into the market and we don't really trace from production, processing, sales and distribution. We really don't trace in terms of volume, quality and the value once the industry has been established. But this is a different industry that if we are not careful with it, you rather have more problem in your country than more benefits, because once we legalize it, it will attract foreigners which are very good and they even know how to produce it better than you. They will relocate to Ghana, and the local benefit that you want to have, you will not have it, right? If we are not careful, we are going to also have something called state capture, where only important, influential people can go process, and then that's going to create the drug laws and mafias. That's going to destroy our society. So once we are about to open the Pandora box, we have to have realistic and honest conversation about the whole process. So, how are we going to the production? Who is going to it? What varieties? Which are the companies that we are giving licensing to process into what forms of products? And if you violate these products, what are the direct penalties? Who is going to sell it locally and distribute internationally? How are we going to make sure that we are not having diversion and state capture and reduce the potential corruption? Because this is going to bring huge foreign exchange. And anywhere we know on our continent where dollars are attached to that industry, it breeds corruption. People are going to start being extremely corrupt and greedy. And that's the very thing that is going to destroy the industry, where that greed and corruption aspect sets in. Because then you are going to have dilution in terms of favoritism. Somebody gets favored because that person is connected to a political party, while some small children who are doing something at their backyard get 20 year sentences. And that's going to create another level of social destruction that we don't want to have. So we have just started the conversation. The first process is we are trying to legalize it. I think what the country needs to do is invite experts from the universities, from the industry, from even international experts to come on the table. How do we improve this legislation as we have current law? Before we start anything at all, how do we improve it? What are the things that we have overlooked that we are not even taking into consideration? What are the things that we need to put in place in order to minimize the social impact, the potential social impact? Because if you look at all the countries that have legalized it, they still admit that there are issues and problems that come with it. And they are still dealing with it, right? So we don't have to start from afresh while we are ignoring what is happening in the international space, those that have already legalized it. And these are important conversations that we can have. But I think we have to have an honest discussion on this particular industry because it's got the potential to create the benefits. But these benefits, if we don't have a right setting for it, the problems can actually overcome or overturn the potential benefits.
Right. I think you've said it right. And because I have the conversation. It's in Dr. Amos Mensah and Opemet Dasi Pani and Ren Chichuma when you're at the
Thank you very much.
Right. Dr. Amos Mensah, Chichini, I work with Krumasian agric economist or agric economist, and I'm in Eddie and Komo Ewo Hono. In the meantime, happy birthday to you, Nana. Kwame Bafwa Saribediako. Nana Kwame Bafwa Saribediako. Happy birthday to you. Wait for you, Papa David Asaribediako home and Eba. Also, may the good Lord make you a giant. Sam and Eba. Do Papa David Asaribediako and Ede Ekomam. Nana Kwame Bafwa Asaribediako. Happy birthday, Enko Emfa Emma War. Evangelist Joseph Bedu, so our Facebook said, "Good morning, senior. Well done for such an important discussion this morning. By listening to the conversation, I can see Ghana we compromise a lot. May God have mercy upon us all." We Evangelist Joseph Bedu, Nidia Ode Abba, our Facebook so no no. So far, I'm saying what's here for one be brave.
Right.
It all boils down to legislation and regulation. Legislation about regulation and the policies are back home.
Yeah, the Okaza is here, Doctor.
Amos Mensah.
No. Osi ade na wo dada. Ade mu kura no e suma si bia dada. Na yedi. Na fidi abase ose ye de mrebi to ho na timeboa. Na ubizan se eno mani nyina sinzi si papa ye pre ho ana. Osi yakati ye twen se no mani nyina be wi dia ene ne nyankwa kura ye wanim di fo ene abenfo wo hanom ntine ehwehwem no munye hwehwem se de be yade no aba transie no ewo de be ye adwuma ewo adwuma kese mu ena de ye nrosam so wo ho na nzu ntimi nkoka se wayi de ade ani gie beba no afiri ho ntino ma wo mfato bi se ade afre ni gini se no obi ennom se ni trepa ni ntina wo no nemum wonom wani gie ne ho na ska nya no firi mo no mo na nige ho no doso ende no ka se u si ni kete se won pene mo bi nom efiri so benya nige wo ho a na wo yadu ho awu because on be no ma fa akire ende basa no ebia ebo na ye de beto so se de be ya nkonom na bebrebe memfa nkose ho na eba na nige mo omokro mo je mra no ojidi se binum kura ebetimi abase binum kura enunum bi no de wonku hunu bi ade nso betimi abasa ndi enhwe ne sa nya sa so kura na so hye ne nkete sa no kofo fa echi no mu na de adwunu mu hawo ne ntanta bebre eba nti no enhwe si dbcl emfa so de ofisi bebre ewom na ye de no ma bi kura akwa ama no ne ade de de ko ne nyanyi ni nyina na ye wie ho ade yo makuni ade ne ayi asawa ne ade di tukwan ko nyina nyi nyina na ye na so ho asem na se de kuku board kura da so
so mo mama quickly na meaning komo emra na fe ye me wrap up Duncan Amwa executive secretary ma chamber of petroleum consumers COPEC o ahoma so na Director of Operations at the Emma World Bank asemo bekan yes Ghana energy sector no ya hwe crisis e ho na ya solve at the asem boni na e de ebebrain na sunsanso e de benya na sunsanso papa no na yeni eho enkomo. Yeah, Dr. Amo out me come channel pay pum to say you. Hello, good morning. Right. Sir, Abeka Dr. Duncan Amwa. Hello, good morning, Dr. Duncan Amwa.
My mentia were tear for and now no paying.
Yo, you better ask a pan when your mammy name tear for no pay now. And come my DDM, a director of operations at the World Bank. One a year, my penny actually didn't come on now, or touching on the energy crisis. I owe my mu. You send and say, never told you a year gas and that into me and flew and fiat twabo and fan cop. A bay twabo gas for any wap code in the account in Nano, will be added the release that by who said no. Sikasem as well, crap. Apart from a year gas issue and I say, yeah, any Sikasem Kakra war hono. See a gas crisis, our energy sector now. And in my bed, a bit of boss when you hear a World Bank for. Ebe boy koko say ye say be solve ni na
opinion over energy sector broadly speaking energy power and petroleum over power sector broadly speaking, or deal with the technical, which is the generating capacity. Again, technical no would also have to do with infrastructure and its management. And then you come to the issue of financing, and I said the Sikasem and so Ejnemono. In the power sector, no, I never be a new way. And a Bemana sustainable, 10 years sustainable, a better good, and a better bad. So Ubenya continuous power, and now Ubeda Dum Somono, and never be a new way. Technical and financial issues. One, the offer Dum so ana a encanea. It was more to do with the financial than the technical than the financial, because there be only 2,000 megawatts. With total output 1,500, 1,600. It means that every time, you know, over 400 shortfall be our baby. It means that the power will have to go off in some parts, while in other parts there will be power on. And so that is one. The true situation as of and then over enough generating capacity.
97.7 FM.
The workers are also plant any generated in over producing even more. The people it's the financial a combination power power. Broadly speaking, no, that is what I can say.
But currently, as we speak, if and what the biggest challenge?
I can say, many sort of bit near to the book. I can say, the generating issues because you know, as of and then, in fact, for the past 5 years, you know, Ghana has been at about 5,000. They are now generating capacity. 97.7. The peak demand less than 3,600, around 3,480. And the do peak crap near some plants in there will be what you will call the reserve margin and other excess capacity of over 1,000 megawatts. What that means is that because you generate enough, that will be a problem. Name of the one to see more of financing. The IPP is generating no yet near Piaka. The almost generating almost near to Kadiakoto, a fuel, either gas, another heavy fuel oil, therefore no. That is also another issue. But what we tell is to see a more of generational as opposed to financial. It's a very more finance than the entity capacity no any now obviously the was a couple 1 billion now but was not generated you are the cannot alone cannot tend to the other kind of thermal power no.
Okay. Right now, the distributor, no, and then now you say distributor ECG, no, is not doing right into a Jessica and find to ya Sank of Wake up, say Omo transmitted to say grid co and Omo generating a hono. What is ECG not doing right into now Omo finances and the yem yen to mean to yaka?
ECG, they did so problem now and say the current managing director no discussing a gamut of their issues. Problems may be any of transmission losses. Say the power plant here produces even 100 megawatts. Now 100, you know. ECG between ECG Gridco, almost transmission systems, you know, they cannot account for about 30%. And we have first loss and our problem because maybe they may produce also 100 megawatts, my 100. Also, no accounting for no 70 with me accounting for 30 now. Somebody must pay for it. And the another problem again, only the transmission or technical losses never. ECG revenue is also a problem. Again, how to even mobilize the revenue, the infrastructure for revenue, also a problem. Over kind and saying people had money in hand that almost Saniato. There's a system no crash, system no juma. And if I know about energy for power, and so the system is unable to pay the person to be able to buy power. And also, and again, they are found the third aspect of the almost issues, The Yakotono is ECG getting the full amount of water. And now the overhead technical people they can also go into the system, wipe out certain things, and then play their own games. Edit a car, and ECG. And one, on the enough. Two, our technical losses are different transmission losses. And three, the watches how is it accounted for? It's another issue. Over three issues here, over kind, Millennium Compass, now MCA4, haven't done a study on the power sector. We're looking to help us fix these things. Over Kaya, earlier 2017, 2018, and some PDS in some of the banks. Now, almost to help fix or address the problems, And PDS in September, I hope every year, almost requested say PDS issues, and not on withdraw, almost support. Financial, no. Time. Almost the ground. So the problem that existed back then, ECG will continue to have the transmission losses or account to 22%. And then I'm 30, meaning that I hear they produce ECG cannot account for 30%. That is worrying.
Okay.
The $100 million worth of power. Now $30 million worth cannot be accounted for. ECG can never be profitable or good enough.
Okay.
We need to address those challenges.
Okay, a quick one before we come to the oil sector on ECG. What do you think should be done? You do what the ECG immediately, and can you just to turn around these companies and Yamai?
Major problem. The who identify problems first and foremost. What identify a solution? Where the problems are coming from. Transmission loss, and also we deploy technology to schedule transmission loss. Over to me, now the transmission losses and I walk through the what is so again issues of revenue of a unit 97.7 when you only be transformer generating. So that the technical losses and the revenue losses ECG record the transformers never said 10,000 and the service community. Transformer will load that is taking say a 20 megawatts never pass 2 megawatts 5 megawatts never pass. If I'm supplying 20 megawatts to a transformer now 5 megawatts to one transformer, not meaning a megawatt 1,000 Ghana cedis. I need 5,000. Not that transformer. I mean, 1,000 per on my medumuno. Whatever audit investigation need to be done. So we now the Crawford donor at that transformer. So almost you have a solution there already. And you need to do a lot of technical audits to ascertain the power now that the all generated to the various substations in the transformers. Is it being consumed? The people consuming it, are they identifiable as a clientele? Over to me, they way more and a meter. But some so here, almost say no moon. If you cannot be able to do a technical audit of your transformers and your substations, clearly, the problems will not go anywhere. Thirdly, that you got on power. The IT will be at an office be at the idea of the onya te ba ko mienu eye wo hwemu yi a to bi kapa what ba ko mienu ejeli omo kama mejidi se omo maka na omo te ho edizem no nyo bi na beka te omo say the time is up eni se omo koso de oman ni nyina ene ye power sector no edi agro so these are critical things that would die me na I would have done but as to whether the current management is doing it, to what scale they are doing it, to what extent they will take the criminal issues, the what sex and I cannot be able to point out immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you delve quickly a little bit into the oil sector too, because I'm said director of operations no Kasano now or various flows of income now in a revenue now a free sector immunity urban as it mean that ye and now maybe about the oil sector no so what are the current challenges are you wanting about my director of operations aka and some your kind
of any major petroleum downstream no, which is the second stream of energy sector now, is generating enough for Ghana.
97.7. Wumri
collected again. This Canadian, but also down to regulation. The regulator, I'm a 21 days. Petrol no cotton bit to attack. Now cotton went to ya. Now owners of the company the Omo who register EDT OMCA. Beneficial owners are to register. Almost 10 numbers are taking. And so the Omo better products akoton tax Omo piano of any from open the country there are Omo minimum. So they are not the alien issues being discussed. These are issues sometimes bordering on our own regulatory framework and answer the regulatory environment. The AI agency is best creating in Ghana administration. And the AI agency said it will be a near before. Opinion the local will be a near before and what a few people make money, a few people pocket money or mine being here from Puntumano. They will go into the pocket of a few because almost there are almost no see target are themselves not exactly interested in even Sikabia. I could be petrol for you.
Right, I'm ready to see an opinion. I'm saying that your brain, your friend, I said that Dimun Komakumu and Kasa, who said the Bay, you beat me straight in your man a year ago. But that's a panum run of pay dog.
But that's much.
Yeah, just so pie, but that's a panum and pay. Dr. Duncan, I'm an executive secretary, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, and I'm no attitude and Comono. It's 38 minutes after 9. My main champion home, Emrasi here, now member for course, Kakra, Nafizo, Niamaka Kraka, which you know, Yamfa, Rappi, Upper Wamagana, Juma dear. So, me Bamitawa, now Yanukomatu, Kosuafa or WhatsApp message 050200977 977 with my voice no so at the above or Facebook I like your page and I share now also found some in a good one home mommy become waba na mabefa will course and pay
Royal Foam promotion Royal Foam you're taking on my soul you bet your bill free get 10% discount
oh la la Ghana for muntie edwomoye de we dey atadwe yate dene Royal Foam Ghana Limited say ben kan che Ghana for say ene ya obi a etoto ne niam mu no omode omonti yo Royal Foam Ghana for at 10% discount afri so nempo no mattress bi a wo beto afri Royal Foam Ghana Limited ho no ye ma o pillow free this is your time wonso umreni e wo se wo to Royal Foam mattress eda so na wunya hontoso from Royal Foam Ghana e wo 020-227-1000
Royal Foam Ghana Limited wo de jikpata
Royal Foam still leading
Royal Foam promotion Royal Foam get 10% discount
Tua ebe iso so onipa yenim na wia no ye nso kan ya hwene nima najo okay emerima wonim amuzu herbal clinic no woyɛ mmerɛ wɔn pɛmu a na entumi nyina so a wɔkɔ hɔ ma wɔhwɛ na hodin ya wunya chai
ɛyɛ no kura wurabra ne bɔ meka so bɛgya ma yɛ ne mɛmɛ adi amuzu herbal clinic ho adanse ani gye a wɔde abra hie
sɛ me kunu yɛ mmerɛ a ɔkɔ hɔ bae difference bi asi fie hɔ na aha yɛ kwan ho ntira yɛte aseɛ paa
early ejaculation severe waist pains prostate disorders low sperm count STDs stroke or something simple cry
Emma
97.7 FM
ɛyɛ Emma ne mɛmɛ nyinaa ayarehwɛ bia wo typhoid stomach ulcer koko arthritis yɛnam ntine ɛtwetwe yɛ sciatica ɛne nyarewa nkae
1 minute after 9 a.m. Submit to me after our course Kakrasi and wrap up Jumadie so 0200 977 977 and at 0245 599 977 0245 599 977 and at 0200 977 977. Right, me kwa so na me fa no di kan. Hello, good morning.
Kaja ti den kan.
En kan so your friend so ka say friend yo.
Your friend wo si aka ka so fi ati de.
Yenti o so.
Kira mo ase mo do ba ati de ku. En so mama ya wa. Na no me ko no mo de. Let me know for no. Ya na ku ko en ko ye ma ye. Ti do ma dan pa ya so ati se. There go to there ni en se ni ana se nan ni. Any person who can come across what I say, is speech is our form. The main person. I now
97.7 FM.
I'm not going to the Milan social. And you actually communicate with I go to one back over to my family. And I'm with you for it. Who's the one who follow your shame? You're to be anti-crisis. The better I am in the on my mind. I think it's going my.
Okay. Right. Mate, ya de anybody achi e de amamu ahwete betimi ni panyimfo akasa. Hello, good morning. Mate, say wo ben wo kasa video no ho low volume ni mami anase wo bedum ni kra mami.
Abani la lono.
Yo. Fede ya betimi akasa. E friend so kasa friend.
We dey be do what we can already. Nana jampi.
Yo, yenti o.
Uti ya mi tun come on pe wati. Na mi tia you run when you for do chamake. The Ghana for penny almost perilous as Santamani Ghana mine. Papa Parimra, the time when the nearest one in some of the back. As far as the manap or back the day on our manap. And I was opening. Sir, my dear, this is a Manica. Oh, no ma, a costume. Let's say, Sir, Omo Jimana Casano, Omun in the crew. So, who's a fine. Kabai, you know, maybe 3 from upon the front. Never show up. That could what my way, the Nadio Betty Pahamota. 97. Every year, can you imagine how to say that to move? So, Mamma, they're 2 more than 5 years. They could what my banana can you in the Korea and pass the man. Never says,
Okay.
Everybody come to come out. You have more than the good brother, but they must minister. To be empty, even when you're politics, manager to be chairman of the what is.
Right. That's it. 0200 977 977 and 0245 599 977. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my champion presenter one.
Yeah, friends, what is friend?
Pacho 2 p.m. Neo, make us free Asante Mama.
Until 2 p.m.
Mama mo abaso boy juma pa baby NDC regional chairman will be another question me chiano. Ono me a minipa Obanzi, baby Obanzi will be a Bernard Mitchell man paper. Ofa, she we are here one day be a na make say yanka ni we chia we say agbe by on more serious note I say kind of correction MPP for said the hardship abaye my muno ye best say president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo say on fix country ni my papa ene man fa ene man fa the enye years 2024 when say his excellency good luck Obama John Dramani Mahama papa yi Obama shisha Ghana ama Ghana ye de sisahani o de kajagu ma me tina more fire
right me that's na mento aso 0245 599 977 and 0200 977 977 baby I will be ano obetimi afre now do adwenche eso e de aba obani ya try call so right me hello good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, first okay, friend.
Mediani Debiasem, Mikasafi Abuaso.
Yentio Debiasem.
And upon with you, Mr. And Chia first one and come back to my assembly mine. All about trouble. Now, they say, Mr. Ghana for me educate you on clear be said. Both NDC and PP now. Only at the Papa Bia, only the Bible on my way. I didn't see that yet to meet Susana Adjuni Kakra. Not the Bia and the LBGT one, Adia Chia, the Articulation, Adia Chia, a year levy, Adia Chia way, Massa. I just say, yeah, Cassette, Sunday, Zenia Blabo. Miss Flagana for a quiet Bafasua, Sanko for Milu, NDC MPP, Apro Fui, Muba you are free, System Nimno, Miss Slamo, Debiasem. Media Madisra, no. Why? Mumbai
0200-977-977 0245-599-977 baby I will be now do agent shop meet me afa be me ndu biaka ho na afi ya be wrap it up ewo ejuma die so and no pen komo be bring edi efi eye cannabis sativa mrase be dwom omaje edi atum eho hello good morning.
Yeah, good morning Vanigase.
Yeah, friends okay say free
Mediani Ben Bush because every boy
yentio men
Obani mamen ka se mincho the temoni show bao itipa na time ma ni tiripa abani tabi ejuma na ya no den so see conducting program
97.7
be show ba unti me so ma ya ejuma time fm
that's it
it's saying me pass on mo ba mama si
amen
man na mpembo watamfu nti
amen.
That's it.
Best of it, that's it. 0200-977-977 and 0245-599-977. Memfa ba konka ho na yemfa ensi na yemrefie emme rapi up work akrebi e wo ho. Opanyi wo hu video mienu bi na etwagu no. Omampanyi dia na omo to national anthem no was it the national anthem? And ohine no ekwaye yomale and ba kuna ne ba the band so nya call no mame fa call we mrana yem kind of ansem quickly na you sorry so hello good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, friends okay say friend
yeah friend Nana Bafo because free share yeah me that's bo abasopa na me Ghana for so the million kai no it is time 8 years NDC 8 years NPP 8 years of NDC in uniform bo my chrono omujira court yankan you in the Ghana for you who say democracy and politicians no yen electors no yen ye be democracy in a direction as I say yes let's bring in another party yen for fresh party like boom Jai CPP for the PNC for any now. NDC NPP. MPP NDC are talk PNC and CPP. It's only good. That's it.
So me that's it. Yam fa ofre no NC ha say me do bibia say also ofre de bia no ba magana juma de so anu afre na ya dwendwen ama Ghana ho. Obani
na am say wo ka bibifa o mampanyini national anthem.
No, so will be become interviews there and once.
Oh yeah. Kwame, I think niti ochemwa ye controls no any idea no. Again asem na ba no afia ne no mana chase ye in the no discussions and because wa ne be hunu baby a asem ne de ne poma bre ebeto yam bepre ho nya bibi na yen twetwe na ase so enka akiri ne mo mienhwe ni nyina ade no bia antiki ani entrench position yen very objective na yen hwe se di asem ni nyina esitie ende kwa mena eho ede no
okay
ade no nsunsan so wo ho na ne mfa so so wo ho
ti yanko so ani hu nkomo ne ne di fu a mu ni memra ne yakeka ho ni nyina no security fu beba mu ni tse all the various stakeholders am ho behia so betimi akekere eye hyehyɛ papa de ato ho no yen hwɛ na emfaso bi so wo so na man ene nipa ne benya na yen sanka
sanity sa no see you know tino yen komo no be koso
I think so we say engage me sure say narcotic commission for be friend before no madi nkomo
almost a chikra na yen yomo se don be fie ha ne no mudi nkomo
ba em safe na abaninti no am safe no mo chekere ne ma hu ene omba omba ye de afa ho
edo mo koso asisi no ma bipa o mesani mu ha no me nyina yentie bi ne hu se DBC ayo no anokwasema entrobia ne hu se de ano dino de ano mero no nyina bi bebe kuruma o yo akwa beti
na se nyina so yase faso so
na meka no
ne ano de ano mero ni nyina faso so
na de ano de ne no yabakosem kire se de yenya indi no
se ye na ye nyusu ni wie
kwame
ya fa kwa paso na ye yusu na ye illicit use no mo na ye
kwame sa illicit ade no can if you are much open when a lie is repeatedly told it becomes a truth it trying to na ba be no kure
ti yanka no kure na aso so
enya ne sa de na enye no aye no an say sa ne bi nu sa ne ye no in the illicit use of it no sa ne bi nu sa ne ye no na sa ne nkofo bebre eso aye no and the queen be faso a yebetimi amasa ho no aba form no o se ye now is about education the use no sa illicit use no ye da ye gusu ye and the queen be faso ebetu amanfo amamaja ne ho hia then the other one no so e ba no and also na fini esi ekoto ho na ba aba amia bedua no ha no panyimi tufo se yempe kwan be faso yebetimi adua bi ni aton bi wa yebetimi anya aba ni bi wa aton sense de bi yebeka se yekofa firi ba bi ene de aba ne yehunu sa eno ma no nyina asimbi kwasem no denga osi ehwe ni ye security ekofo mo ho na nipa kunkum frefo no di kan friend I think it's of a more serious
see it me German production team no mo hwe no betimi aye de afa ho de man na so betimi ye de achi ho akwa hwe ne ekoso ho ne hu empanyefo betimi no ma di hu nkoma me so say no mo bebo aye
kwame ebia me kan we na me de mano si na what so
na me kan video ne de no
okay video no ye o man panyini na okotu o bi fo se
that's national anthem no na oye bi before and about ko
so say ye bo national anthem mutumi so man panyini aten anko ni yi kura anti no ni timu mpa ya ne se anthem ni bi si amana ka kire obi se ko ka kire ohene ne se no ye no antwe it is very bad any oba koso video ni ehwe ni nyina nkusi ya de
no ba ko no so no more anthem no sana na ne ba no
ejina ne nche
am say no ye call the phone so
and
I mean comparing the two I don't know why this one came up in a way
but me the
but me how this one
I me hunu video na me share that enhwe but the omo bia ne say
abo ya so na do pada the ma you work out no
baby ane ba ye nyina duro no wohia ne papa so ka chense ye to national anthem minim de no afre no se bia heaven na ne atwotwo di na ne afre so money di me antwo di minim ono should be very mature enough
because me ma hunu over the weekend I just ignored it I mean
me ma hunu na me video no ha
ma video no me no nyina
o no
yeah, one party fan of the propaganda
na
bibi mo push social media be brain if you want particular direction and I win and
it doesn't give any objective analysis of the video
that is why I just decided to
kwa me mefa akonye so machia papa bi feminist be na moabin on ACU ma amoab gas ya moabin me chia be obia again abrante na boni di no o ya bofla ketu bi afin wanya mfimi
na KWAME ba for sarubidi
on da hodom no okay me machiri ban nine ne ba panyin no
okay
David asarbedia
what you bad nine ba panyin
ntina na KWAME ba for asarbedia
okay incidentally na di mo do sa na KWAME ba for asarbedia
ko ya de ne to me papa
okay the David asarbedia ko na ne papa
incidentally so bubu ayimu a na ni nua ketu di na chi ne be chen no 7 days because no ni nua na 10th July and on 17th July.
Okay.
And the kwame ya matunkwa e bon pese bia ne enku. Kwame kan we di atwato. Wiase nyina ntokwa etoso mienu ba wiye no. Papa bi do ndo ko share baabi. Mfie be sidu no hu se ntokwa no aba wiye. Enti no en hono mana ne wo no afro ne ne ade ne mu ewu mu nyina na wodia 10 years no to survive. Oya Vietnam soldier. Na ntokwa nyina ba wiye no 10 years no piye. Ana oba ne ho nyina teche ne ho nyina afuni ade kuyi ni tinwini ade nyina na obisa se ehini ne aduro wiase mu ena obisa ntokwa ne yakwa wie be esi mfie duni na nipa na oka asem na che no na wo hye jeans na papa na smo ka che de obo na mane se wie ntokwa nya bisa se and you are still in the enemy's garment ena wo de wo hye tamfo na tade jeans America fo atade se wiase ni nyina kwa wie ya ena agusu hye atamfo no atade se no manyina yes sano ni be so man yi tumpon na da sukuta kata sishem ana di o man yi dwirim ana abo man yapo ana abo man yi kro no ana fa kwan bi susum kodi obi ewuku no eto baabi efi so bi ehunu ye ni nyina kyerese ye da sukuta otamfo no emu na natade ehye no otete aduane bone ma yefunu dia ebotwe ne ma asa kwame adom ye aduma
right, you better support opportunity bu akodia and what in nka and no pa bi o coming home e wo ha say na ye dia magana dwumadie e de ebrewo me fa na se kase enkomo bibia o de waso FM na uti magana dwumadie mo amode messages by mo amhwe on Facebook Ghana ne amano ni nyara ne bibia wo biara mo so amotron ye wo ho maye na mo share maye so da kase enkoma mo WhatsApp messages the voice note amode baye no eno so no media se da kase be ko amo bibia afi ankoma matita for dwumadie so executive producer